by a former abortionist named Dr. Bernard Nathanson. And he was New York's leading abortionist, I believe, by numbers and reputation, et cetera, what he was doing. And back in the 70s, I don't know how he suddenly woke up one day and decided to check an ultrasound and go, oh, look, it's actually a baby. But he would see the fetuses always, and I'm saying fetus scientifically, not that I don't believe it's a baby. And he would see the fetuses, and but this time around, this one day, something sparks him that he's realizing, wow, as I'm watching what I'm doing through the monitor, the baby looks like it's fighting back and like it's screaming. And it freaked him out, and he decided to quit. And he used the ultrasound footage to make a documentary called Silent Scream. And it was very effective and sensational at the time. It came out late 70s, early 80s. I don't know if it's still available, probably YouTube. And anyways, he was saying this parallels that, in that it's a reminder sort of that issue of the silent scream of a baby, how she's handling the situation. So the thing is, he also said that this movie shows that this family is determined to have the baby no matter what, and even at risk of life of the mother, and like a parallel to that exception that some people have, that you would have.
Their lives in general, because what if the baby screams at some point, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. So they have an elaborate way of handling that, which we won't give away. But the thing is that it's just fascinating. And he's right. It's like it's this parallel to the issue of what do you do in the exceptions, and the so-called exceptions: rape, incest, life of the mother. That some people say that they'll allow abortion. They don't mind abortion in those cases. So, in this movie, it's showing like it goes all the way. Like, hey, this family at the risk of their own life will have this baby. They want this baby. And what the article in the Washington Post, the essay, said is that the reason why is without a baby, the baby represents hope. That something can change for the better someday. That eventually they'll figure out how to get past these monsters, and that by extension, life and the issues of pregnancy should be one of hope whenever possible, and that's like a really positive, portrayal of pregnancy and wanting to have a child at all costs, and that they're hoping that'll influence audiences subtly. And it doesn't politicize the issue at all. There's no argument about it. They don't discuss it. They don't demonize anybody who would do otherwise. It's just this particular family, in a very strong way, has this message across without even saying a word about it.
And the pro-life message, it extends to just the way they parent the two older children. So they have a daughter and a son. Both of whom are around like 8 or 10 years old?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Well, she's probably like turning 12 or 13.
Okay, yeah. So she's she's the older sister, and then there's a younger brother.
And don't mention anybody else.
Right, yeah. And so the sister, coincidentally, is deaf, which you learn early on, which is interesting in that that scenario where they have to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Adds an interesting element. But the way that, this couldn't be a more dire scenario that this family finds themselves in, and yet the parents, they do not give up, just fighting for their children's lives and just trying to, the way that when they're playing Monopoly, they use soft felt pieces and they put a rug down to make sure the dice doesn't make noise and stuff like that. Like they fight for every aspect of their children's life, even though it's just such an awful world that they're living in right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great message right there.
Wow. Yeah. So, definitely go see this movie. I think it's Emily Blunt. What she has to pull off in that scene alone that we were spoilering is just absolutely. She's got to be up for an Oscar, if not winning. And
she's so great. And you this occurred to me just now. You also mentioned the prayer scene. So when they're holding hands in a circle around the table before their dinner, and obviously they can't say anything for fear of making noise and attracting the creatures that are lurking around. But it's a really powerful scene, and it shows you that prayer, it's not really about the words. It's as much as it is about your connection with God and your relationship with God. And I think that scene really kind of evoked that.
Okay, yeah, and I do think that, it's also sort of powerful about my friend Father Don said also, I used to walk around. It was sort of almost like a talisman or something for me. I walked around with a St. Jude novena in my wallet and would like pray it every day. And he goes, "You're going to lose its power if you do it every day. You're supposed to do it 9 days for very specific things." And he's like, and words are words, man. At some point, it loses its impact. He goes, "So you're asking for dire, major help on things." But he goes, "If everything's a dire crisis, or your daily thing is help me with all these things," he's like, "You're losing the point of it. That sometimes the best prayer is silence and listening to God and just trying to get thought." And this movie, I think, reinforces that also. So
yeah, there's a priest that I love here in LA named Father Luke, and he described it to me as there's Our Fathers and Hail Marys, and those are great, but what you want to have with Christ is a friendship. And he says a friend is someone that you waste time with almost. And he described it as like, say that you're out with a friend at a bar just drinking beers together, and you're just dropping prayer cards on the table at them. I mean, at some point you want to have a conversation in your own words too.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Well, any other thoughts about that, or should we move to blockers?
Well, I mean, there's actually kind of a segue there, because in the same way that Krasinski and Emily Blunt's characters are like the ultimate parents of fighting so hard for their children, on the flip side, blockers, as hilarious as I often found it to be, it was almost like anti-parenting in a way.
Oh yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, because because the idea of the movie is that these are about 3 parents that have teenage daughters that are seniors, and they're about to go to their prom, and these girls have grown up together, done everything together, and the 3 of them decide to make what they term a sex pact, that they're going to lose their virginity all on prom night. And the scenario, just given like enough to get the idea of the movie, is that one girl is who's what's her name?
Leslie Mann?
Leslie Mann. I was going to say Julianne Moore. Yeah. Leslie Mann's daughter is a little princess kind of, they're all nice girls in a way. I mean, they don't portray any of them in a stereotypical ways. They're very interesting characters, actually.
But she's your, all-American charm.
Yeah. She's the charming little perfect girl.
Right.
And overprotected by mom. And, and that part is, it's a safe thing to say overprotected, because she's it's kind of goofy how they portray Leslie or whatever. It's, innocently overprotective early on.
Even the thought of her leaving for college brings tears to her eyes. And I think part of it is the fact that she is a single mother, which is interesting, which makes her feel, I think, even more attached to her.
Yeah. And then there's this other girl that's Indian American, and her dad is John Cena, that they focus on, the former pro wrestler who's turning into a really good comedic actor. He's got
great. He's got some work to do in terms of just technically as an actor, but he's really got great natural comedic timing. He was really funny.
I thought this was a really nice giant jump for him, because he's very subtle in a lot of it, and he's also he's tough and big, but he's also the one who's most prone to break down crying.
Right.
And he's just hypersensitive about every little thing. And anyway, he's married to an Indian woman, so his daughter is Indian American. And she's sort of like the sassy, I don't know who you'd parallel her to, like Stifler from American Pie, because this is really like a girl's flip side of American Pie, even though girls were also chasing sex in that movie.
I'd say maybe a combination of Stifler and who's the guy who's in American Pie, who's the really good lacrosse player? I forget the character's name.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's kind of a tomboy, too. She has a softball scholarship at the college that she's going to.
Yeah, she's like the Chris Klein character as well. I forget his name, but Oz.
Chris Klein, that's it.
Oz, yeah. And so anyways, but her thing is that she is like the first one was saying, "Hey, I've been with my boyfriend 6 months. It's time." And then so they're the romantic couple wanting to lose it on prom night. Then but they have plans to go to college together. So it's not just they really think they're going to be in it for the long haul. So then the Stifler type one, she is doesn't even have a boyfriend. And she's just like, you know what? Fine, you're doing it. I'm doing it. Tonight's the night, yo. And she's like, I'm going to take that guy. And she just points at some good-looking dude. And then when she's on the date with him, she's like, tonight it's happening. We're doing this, blah, blah, blah. And she uses all these, sexual jokes to make it obvious. And the guy's even like, okay, whoa, let's see where this
Hold
goes.
your horses,
you know? And then the third one is like this nerdy girl whose dad is Ike Barinholtz, and Ike Barinholtz is like this irresponsible guy who's been like out of her life most of his life, and he's got a bad reputation with the other two parents. They all used to be good friends, but they got mad at him because he blatantly cheated on his wife with a babysitter, and he's turned into an alcoholic in a comedic way, and is constantly like causing problems. Like he gets the limo for the kids and says, "All right, here's where the party goes down," you know, kind of thing. And so they're looking at it like, boy, you're fueling the problem of putting our kids into thinking about things. And so his daughter is this nerdy girl, and but she's hiding a bigger secret that she's really not into boys. She's secretly gay. And but she decides, well, I don't want to be left out. And her dad had said something offhand, or her mom, about how, you know, it's important to share your experiences with your friends. So she's like, I'm in. And it's sort of like to force herself to not be gay. Like, you know, some kids feel compelled to try and do anything to stop it, right?
And interestingly, the Ike Barinholtz character, as much of a loose cannon as he is, and as much of an absent father as he had been, he has this fatherly instinct that no one else can see, that his daughter is a lesbian.
Oh, he does? I forgot if he tells it early.
Yeah, he said that in the beginning to Leslie Mann and John Cena. He's like, there's things that a father just knows, and I just know it with her.
Oh, wow, I forgot. So, yeah, so her thing is, you know, that she finds this fat boy who's thrilled, like, oh my God, somebody wants to give it up to me, and so
like classic drama nerd, like with a fedora, and he was great.
So we're laughing, so we admit, okay, on a secular artistic level, does this movie work? Is it funny? Take out all Catholic stuff out of it?
Yeah, I mean, I laughed at it often, and there's even 2 or 3 times where I was like rolling over laughing. It's the comedy is really well done,
really funny. Okay. And it's not as offensive as it could have been. I could see many movies doing it worse. However, there's like some big issues with this movie, in that you know, it's sort of like saying, well, so the filmmakers themselves, it's directed by Kay Cannon, who wrote the Pitch Perfect trilogy, and I thought, oh, she must have wrote this too. This is her big move. Nope. It's kind of weird to me. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what women think. And I am trying to find. I asked a very good friend of mine who is a lapsed Catholic and actually runs a podcast talking about sex and relationships to see it. She just didn't have a chance yet. And so we may update this later on with her attitude about it. Meaning she understands the Catholic point of view. She also understands the anything goes point of view. And I wanted to say to her, hey, look, would you check this out and see, is this movie really feminist, as the critics and the studio and everybody are trying to tout it? Like, hey, finally a sex-driven high school movie where the girls call the shots. Or is there something odd going on here? And the reason I ask this is the movie's written by 2 brothers, and then all 10 of the producers are men. And it includes, I thought it was a Judd Apatow movie because of his wife, Leslie Mann, is in it. And I thought, oh, well, this is going to have like a big moral ending. Because Judd Apatow does movies like that with Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin. And this one, he's not a producer. And I wonder if he purposely left himself out, either to just give Leslie her space, or whether it's that he didn't support the agenda. Because he has absolutely said he likes to put in messages into his movies under a raunchy surface in order to try and reach an audience that wouldn't normally hear those things. So here we had Seth Rogen as a producer, his producing partner Evan Goldberg. And I like Seth Rogen a lot of times, but he's really been, I think, going more and more off the rails of taste. With like Neighbors 2 was way grosser than Neighbors 1, and then like Sausage Party had a huge atheistic agenda about it, and was really, really it was an absurd cartoon about food, but they have like a big crazy orgy scene among the food at the end, while also being adamantly laughing at God and belief and all that. And then it's the 2 guys behind the Harold and Kumar movies are also among the producers, and they did American Reunion, the 4th American Pie movie. So when all the producers are guys and the writers are guys, it makes me wonder, a parallel question to my issue with feminism in a lot of ways, is that I believe that I'm a feminist in most respects, and other than the one thing I'll blatantly disagree with the general perception of the movement is, I admit I'm pro-life. But every other respect, equal pay, respect, wanting women to call the shots on things. I'm making a sitcom soon. The two women, the director and producer, are women. My friend that